Have you ever taken a shortcut that felt wrong? A path you've never noticed before, even though you've walked the same route 100 times? That's what happened to me last Tuesday. I was walking home from the library, my usual 20-minute trek. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. I was lost in a podcast, just letting my feet carry me. Then I saw it. Tucked between the old bookstore and the new cafe, there was a narrow alleyway I'd swear wasn't there the day before. It was paved with smooth, dark stones, unlike the cracked concrete of the main street. A strange, dim light emanated from the other end, soft and inviting. My usual path felt suddenly long and tedious. This new route promised to cut my walk in half. Logically, it made no sense. This city block was a solid grid. An alley like this shouldn't exist. But curiosity, and maybe a bit of laziness, got the better of me. I paused my podcast, pulled out my earbuds, and stepped into the alley. The air inside was still and cool, and the sounds of the city traffic vanished instantly. It was like stepping into a soundproof room. All I could hear was the soft scuff of my own shoes on the strange, seamless stone. The walls were smooth brick, impossibly clean, with no graffiti, no grime, not even a single crack. It felt less like a forgotten back alley and more like a deliberate, constructed corridor. I kept walking, expecting to pop out onto my street any second. But the alley just continued. The soft light at the far end never seemed to get any closer. I glanced back. The entrance, and the vibrant sunset I had just left, was gone. Behind me was just more of the same endless, silent corridor. A knot of unease began to tighten in my stomach. This wasn't right. I picked up my pace, my casual stroll turning into a brisk walk. The silence was the worst part. It was so absolute. It felt heavy, pressing in on my ears. Then I saw someone else. Further down the alley, a figure was walking in the same direction as me. A wave of relief washed over me. I wasn't alone. I called out, "Hey, do you know how long this path is?" My voice sounded loud and harsh in the stillness, but there was no echo. The person didn't turn around. They just kept walking, their pace matching mine exactly. I tried again, louder this time. "Excuse me." Nothing. They were wearing a simple gray coat, their hands in their pockets. I couldn't make out any other details. I started to jog, determined to catch up. I needed to see a friendly face to confirm I wasn't losing my mind. But no matter how fast I moved, the distance between us remained the same. It was like running on a treadmill. They were my fixed point in this bizarre, stretching space. Panic began to claw at my throat. I was trapped. I was trapped with this silent, unresponsive stranger. I stopped running, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The figure in the gray coat also stopped. We stood there, maybe 50 feet apart, in this impossible, silent place. The soft light at the end of the alley flickered, just once. I didn't want to catch up to them anymore. A new, chilling thought entered my mind. What if they weren't ignoring me? What if they were leading me? And what if the worst thing I could do was reach them? My heart hammered against my ribs. I turned and ran. I fled back the way I came, expecting to run for just as long. But in what felt like only a few seconds, I burst back out onto the main street. The sun had fully set, and the streetlights were on. The sounds of the city crashed over me. Cars, distant sirens, people laughing. It was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. I leaned against the bookstore wall, gasping for air, my body trembling. When my breathing returned to normal, I looked back. Between the bookstore and the cafe, there was nothing. Just a solid brick wall, old and grimy, covered in faded posters. There was no alley. There was no smooth, dark stone. It was gone. It had never been there. I stumbled home, checking over my shoulder every few steps, half expecting to see a figure in a gray coat following me from a distance. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Was it a dream? A hallucination brought on by stress? I had to know. I went back to the library, but this time I wasn't looking for novels. I went to the local history section and pulled out every old city map I could find. I spent hours poring over them, from the earliest survey maps of the 1800s to the most recent city planning blueprints. My fingers traced the grid of my neighborhood, street by street, block by block. There was the bookstore, marked as a tailor shop on the older maps. There was the spot where the new cafe stood, once a family-owned bakery. But between them, nothing. Just a solid, unbroken property line. On every single map, across more than a century of city history, there was no record of an alley, a path, or any kind of shortcut. It simply didn't exist. So why do I still see it sometimes? Out of the corner of my eye, when I walk down that street, I catch a glimpse of a dark opening, a flicker of soft, inviting light. And every time I feel a pull, a strange sense of social obligation, as if I'm expected to enter, as if someone is waiting for me. I always force myself to look away, to walk faster, to get home before the sun sets. Because I'm terrified that if I look too long, I'll see a familiar figure in a gray coat, standing at the entrance, beckoning me in. And I'm afraid that next time, I won't be able to resist. Thank you for listening.